In the dead of night, on January 2nd, 2026, over 150 American aircraft converged on Caracas in what President Donald Trump called the most audacious military operation since World War II. The target wasn't a terrorist compound or a weapons facility. It was Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife Cecilia, who are now in US custody aboard the USS Bataan. Trump posted the raid footage himself on Truth Social, soundtrack to Fortunate Son, showing explosions ripping through the Venezuelan capital. Within hours, he declared something that sent shockwaves through Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran. "We're going to run Venezuela until such time as a proper transition can take place." But this wasn't just a regional operation gone rogue. This was the United States crossing a red line that China, Russia, and Iran had been warning about for years. And now the question everyone's asking is, what comes next? China's foreign ministry issued a statement calling the operation deeply shocked and a blatant violation of international law. But here's what makes this explosive. A Chinese envoy was meeting with Maduro just hours before American forces struck. Think about that timing. Chinese officials were potentially on the ground or narrowly missed being there when US troops moved in. For Beijing, this isn't just about Venezuela, it's about precedent. If Washington can militarily remove a leader of a country where China has invested billions, where does it stop? And China has invested heavily. By October 2025, China was importing 663,000 barrels of Venezuelan oil every single day, representing a massive 80% of all the oil Venezuela was selling to the world. Meanwhile, the United States was receiving a mere 128,000 barrels per day. This wasn't an accident. It was the result of a catastrophic American strategy that started in early 2025. Let me take you back. In April 2025, the US government rolled out what economists called a financial nuclear option, secondary tariffs. The mechanism was brutal. Washington warned every nation on Earth that if they bought even a single barrel of Venezuelan oil, they would face a 25% tariff on all exports to the United States. Not just oil, everything. Electronics, furniture, agricultural products. The average US tariff hovers around 2%, so this 25% tax would make any country's goods uncompetitive overnight. The goal was mathematically simple: reduce Venezuela's oil exports to zero. But American policymakers made a fatal miscalculation. They assumed no rational nation would risk access to the $20 trillion US economy for a deal with Venezuela. They didn't account for China. By 2025, China and the US were already deep in a trade war. Chinese exports had been facing significant tariffs for years. So when Washington threatened a new 25% tariff, Beijing's economists did the math and realized this wasn't a deterrent. It was merely an adjustment to existing reality. More importantly, China saw the opportunity. With every other potential buyer scared away from India to European nations to traditional Latin American partners, Venezuela's oil suddenly became available at unprecedented discounts. China wasn't just becoming a buyer among many, they were becoming the only buyer left standing. And they made a statement about it. In September 2025, a Chinese company called China Conquered installed the first major new offshore oil platform in Venezuela's Maracaibo Lake in years. This wasn't modest. It was a massive billion-dollar investment signaling China's intentions to ramp up production from 12,000 barrels per day to a staggering 60,000 barrels per day by 2026. While the United States was actively trying to shut down Venezuela's oil industry, China was simultaneously investing over $1 billion to build it back up under their own control. But there's an even deeper chain binding Venezuela to China, one that makes their relationship virtually unbreakable. That chain is debt. Over more than a decade, China has loaned Venezuela a staggering $60 billion. This isn't traditional cash being paid back through international banking systems. Venezuela repays this massive debt directly with oil shipments. It's a closed-loop system that makes US sanctions completely irrelevant. Venezuela must send oil to China to service debt obligations, and China is legally entitled to receive that oil as repayment under international law. Even if the US wanted to stop this particular oil flow, they would face an impossible dilemma. They'd be literally telling Venezuela to break an international financial agreement, which would undermine the entire global financial system that America itself relies on. This is why Beijing's response to Maduro's capture is so measured, yet so ominous. Russia quickly followed with its own condemnation, calling the operation armed aggression and warning that ideological hostility has replaced diplomacy. Moscow's foreign ministry said escalation could spiral beyond control. Iran's foreign ministry issued a lengthy statement calling it a clear breach of sovereignty that sets a dangerous precedent. What we're witnessing is China, Russia, and Iran lining up in coordinated condemnation. These aren't just words. Just months earlier, in September 2025, Chinese President Xi Jinping stood shoulder to shoulder with Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un at a massive military parade in Beijing. Over 12,000 People's Liberation Army troops marched while China unveiled hypersonic missiles and autonomous combat drones. That parade was a warning. This Venezuela operation is testing whether that alliance was just theater or something more substantial. Trump explicitly invoked the Monroe Doctrine, the 200-year-old policy claiming American dominance in the Western Hemisphere. He even renamed it the Monroe Document in his unique pronunciation, declaring that American dominance will never be questioned again. But here's the problem. China already has the economic infrastructure in place across Latin America. In November 2025, just 2 months before this raid, Beijing and Caracas signed a zero-tariff trade agreement covering 400 different types of products. This wasn't just about oil anymore. It was about weaving Venezuela's entire economy into China's global supply chain. Trump can occupy Caracas with military force, but China already owns the economic foundation. And as we learned from 2025's failed sanctions strategy, military power doesn't always translate to strategic victory. Maduro is in US custody, but Venezuela's future may already belong to China. And Beijing is not known for accepting losses quietly.